Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the program. Today we are going to talk about a rather serious topic, the future. What does the future hold? Today we are going to make some predictions. Maybe someday man will look back on such predictions.
Remember this is what we wanted. Remember this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again. Remember this is what we wanted. Remember this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again.
Hello, and welcome to the round table of the future. We're here once again. I am, as you probably already know, Obichris Quinnobi, and I am joined by my fellow seer, Strange Mike, MD.
Thank you.
How are you,
I'm good. How are you?
Dr. Strange Mike?
I don't know how I am now, but in the future, I'm gonna be good.
That's
I
good.
can only see the future.
So you can't see the present even? Wow.
Yeah, no.
That's rough going.
It's
I was
weird.
not aware.
Yeah, it's a temporal issue for me.
Wow. How do you speak? How do you know what to say?
It's really tough for creating a sense of self.
Yeah.
you know?
Okay, but in the future, it'll all be okay.
It's gonna be great.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's good. So,
How are you in the future?
well, I will be very correct in a lot of predictions that I'll make, just
Right.
like I was in the past. And I think I'm in for a good couple hours here. We've got some of the most renowned sight seer or future seers. What do we call ourselves? Soothsayers
Yes.
and
Soothsayers, oracles, maybe.
oracles. All of them. We got two of the best.
Two of the best on Beer Oracle, TikTok, and Twitter.
Yeah, so we're out here in the woods.
Big scene.
Ooh, do you hear that? That little owl. Hey, Al, how are you? And we're gonna, look into the future. We're gonna see what the future of craft beer holds. So, why don't we introduce? We've got the same crew as we did last year. I knew that
As
was
we
going to
foresaw
happen.
last year.
So first we've got the renowned Three-Eyed Take Jake. How are you, Jake?
I am most well, thank you. Happy New Year. We know it's going to be a great year because we can see into the future.
That's right.
Thanks
Happy
for
New
having
Year.
me as always, Mike and Chris. How y'all doing?
Doing well. Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
in the
right.
future. That would be
in the
great.
future, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. But you did say in the past that you would be great, so you have to assume that you're doing well now.
I only see the future.
Right. Well, I'll answer
How
that
okay?
one
Is
for
there
him.
is there a time like a threshold or a time limit? Like you can see it to a certain point.
It works in mysterious ways.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool. Great.
Yeah. It's such a lovely atmosphere that we're doing this show in.
Soothing.
It's very soothing. It's much better than the nasty construction-ridden hovel that I was in just
Well-
moments ago.
Well, we were going to do it at the beer temple, and then we were run out of the establishment by some very
There were some wizards
aggressive
and
wizards
orcs
and
in the other
orcs
room.
playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, yeah.
So
They-
now we're in the woods.
funny thing, they play as people.
They do play
When
as people.
when wizards and orcs play Dungeons and Dragons, they
Yeah, I didn't
play
know that.
normal folk. But we still have one more person to introduce, and that is the acclaimed Nostradouglas, seer of things yet to come. How are you, Nostradouglas?
The economy is getting a bit cloudy. My West Coast IPAs are getting a bit cloudy,
Oh, no.
but
no.
Nostradauglas's mind has never been clearer.
Oh, no.
good.
That's good.
Good.
He's the best in the biz.
Good. That's right. Certainly has one of the best names in the biz. You know, I did take some of the leftovers.
You
when
ma-
it came to names.
You made that name.
It's true. I think I made all of them.
Yeah.
That's
that I
good.
could-
I'm a giver. I'm a giver. I could have been Nostradouglas, except my name's not Doug, so it wouldn't have been as impactful.
Sure.
So here we are, fellas. How you feeling? You think are you ready to look into the future? I've got my crystal ball here. I don't see anyone else's crystal balls. Do you guys use crystal balls or?
I got an app on my phone.
Damn, you
Oh,
took
sorry.
my joke. All right.
My bad.
I use the same app Mike does.
I knew you were going to make that joke. So,
Mine is a NFT.
Oh, good.
It's got a smart contract.
so
on
its
it.
value's just going up and up.
Yeah. Every time you predict the future correctly,
Just like Dust Coin.
somebody gets 10% of the proceeds. I assume. Well, great. Well, I guess I'm old school. I still peer into a crystal ball, and it hasn't failed me yet. Except last year when we didn't see the sale of Sweetwater coming the day after we recorded. It's the only time it's failed me.
So as you look into your crystal ball, who's getting sold tomorrow?
Let's look. Answer not clear. Try again later, it says.
What's that made out of? Is that plastic?
Yeah, it's like filled with a...
Are you spinning? You're turning it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
filled with like a purpley liquid that sees into the future.
Yeah, it's the clearest black I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Is that an 8?
No, it's an infinity sign.
Oh, it's an infinity
You're
sign.
looking at it the wrong way.
You're right. My apologies.
Yeah.
Magic infinity ball.
It's a magic infinity. No, it's a... Yeah, ball. You're right. Yeah, magic infinity ball. Exactly. So, are we ready, Mike? Why don't you take it away? How are we going to start here?
We'll start.
I know, but I'm gonna. In the past, I said I would ask you that. I'm gonna grab a Fatheads, by the way.
Okay.
In the future, everyone will be drinking Fatheads IPA.
I think you're starting with what beer are you going to be drinking in the future?
I'll be drinking an Alpha Ambush from Fatheads. I see that you're wearing some new Fatheads swag.
It's my
some
favorite color.
attire.
It's like in between pea and vomit green.
Yeah.
Thank you for getting it for me, Chris. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'll wear it when I wear my I Love Hot MILFs t-shirt you got me when you went to the Jersey Shore a couple years ago.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it would really warm my heart. But I don't see that happening in the future.
No, I don't even think I don't have that shirt anymore. I don't know where it went.
You don't know where it went. How's that possible?
Because I don't see the past.
Oh, right. Got it.
Anyway, our esteemed guests, Nostradouglas, Three-Eyed Take Jake, who wants to go first with the beer you think you'll be drinking in the future?
Yeah. Sorry.
Sure, I'll take this one, if you don't mind, Mr. Douglas.
I knew you'd
Sure.
do that.
Well, I will be traveling here this weekend to upstate New York to see some family. And I'm hoping to come across, just a few 30-minute drive away or so from where the in-laws stay is Suarez, which one of my all-time favorite breweries.
You mule me some?
I'll mule you. I'll mule you some, buddy. Yes. But there's a brewery called Duchess Ales that last time I was in New York, or maybe a couple times ago, I go up there every so often just for work, and I tried a really nice Pilsner of theirs called Pylon, and I know they're kind of brewing out of some other spaces and what have you in upstate New York, but I'm hoping to be able to track some of that down. As a Three-Eyed Take haver, I can see the beer in my future. And it's a nice, hopefully a cask ale, something 50-ish degrees perhaps, a nice frothy head. I'm having a good time. What do y'all think about that?
I can
Sounds
see
good,
it.
right?
I can see it.
Oh yes.
Mm-hmm.
You look great. I'm looking. I see you in my. I see you in
Yes.
the crystal ball. You're
I
enjoying
appreciate
it.
See, I can only see a few days in advance. I'm glad you can see a little bit further, and you can see the actual.
Yeah, I can see you right now.
Okay, great.
I can see you. You're laughing. You're having a great time.
Beautiful. Love to hear it.
Yeah. Yeah, just maniacally laughing in a way. But I don't know why you're so happy.
I'd
but-
say cackling even.
Yeah. Here's another little fun tidbit that you guys may not know. I was just thinking about this Fatheads that I ended up drinking, so I'm already 1 for 1 on my predictions.
Nailed it.
Yeah. The Christmas beer that they make at Fatheads is called Pimp My Sleigh. And it has a blinged out fathead man with a rope chain with a sleigh on it.
Wow.
Yeah.
My personal favorite.
I was there in 2022, by the way. That's when I saw it, in that year, the year 2022, not 2002.
My personal favorite Fathead's name is Benjamin Danklin.
That's a good one.
It's a Freedom-style ale, I believe.
Yes. Yeah, they have Gogglefogger, which is their Hefeweizen.
Yeah.
They
You
have-
got to respect a brewery that has stopped making decisions in 2012 and just has been riding it ever since and just to success.
Yeah. I mean, they were in Philly. I saw a Fatheads neon in a bar window in Philly. So, so they're getting around. They're starting to spread the word, the gospel, if you will. But Nostradouglas, as I go look up a Fatheads beer, which won't let me go because the connection's not secure. So, thanks.
Well, we're out here in the woods. What are you expecting?
Well, no, I know, but the Fatheads website says it's not a secure website. It won't let me
GeoCities
go.
must be down.
Yeah. Anyway, Nostradouglas, what beer will you be drinking in the future?
This one's I have a big self-interest in, admittedly, but I'm really excited about it. Next week, we have a couple barrel-aged beers coming out, and one of them coming to big fanfare, a double barrel VSOJ. But the one I'm extra excited about is called Boss Ryway, and it's called Boss Ryway because we have a fun relationship with Whistle Pig Distillery in Vermont, and we trade barrels back and forth all the time. They desire to get barrels that once held a stout or a barley wine, and they like to finish whiskeys for small projects that they do for their like e-commerce site and just like small runs. And they do some like store picks out of them, so like a 12-year whiskey, but then spends its last 6 weeks in a barrel that held D-Star for a year or two. And then they give us some of their coolest barrels they get, and they have an annual release called the Boss Hog. And that's a 14-year whiskey, but then it finishes in a unique spirit barrel sourced from somewhere around the world every year. So we've done this twice before, and this year it's these Philippine rum barrels, rum called Don Papa. And so we got those barrels in, and so they held Don Papa, then they held this 14-year-old whiskey just for 6 weeks. Then we got them and aged Rye to Heaven, our rye wine in it. And it came out, and I just tasted it today and was just
great.
like enthralled by how good
Yeah.
it is. So
Wow, okay.
I'm really pumped to see that one. It's been aging a while, well over a year, so excited to see that one get canned.
I don't get excited about most spirit barrel-aged beers anymore, but I'm going to have to get myself some of that. That sounds right up my alley.
It does. Yeah, it does sound right up your alley. Let me look. Will you like it when you have it?
Oh, yeah. I'm liking it a lot.
Good. That's great to hear.
In my future, I'd look forward to drinking a Goldfinger Rot beer, which they're half of a collaboration we did with them when I showed up late last episode.
That's
It's a
right.
Franconian-style red lager, which I'm very excited to try their version of. We've got half of it, and we've made like a red saison with it.
I would put that on the list of styles that would probably benefit from a name tweak.
Rot beer.
It doesn't sound
Yeah.
It's not the best.
Yeah.
In English, it's not the best name.
It does not translate
Doesn't
great, but
get your appetite going.
no.
But
But the beer's tasting delicious. Our half is tasting delicious, and I'm sure theirs is tasting better than ours.
about,
so I can see in the future it does taste
Check
better
dark
than ours.
rot beer.
Check dark rot beer. Yeah.
That'll do well.
No spoilers for my prediction for next big
Sorry.
lager style.
Sorry. Check dark rot beer.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, Nostradouglas, I noticed that you've been getting around. You've been a little loose with putting your predictions out there. You know, you're playing fast and loose with the predictions, just going everywhere and giving all sorts of predictions.
But I saved the best ones for this show.
It's funny, you said that on the other show, but at least I think you did.
I used to. The year-end show used to be like a Big Ten team, how they treated the Rose Bowl. But now you've added this prediction show, and for me, that's like now they added the national title game. So now I'm like,
You're all in.
I've graduated from the year-end show. I gear up for tonight.
So you're about to beat us, like what, 68-7 or whatever.
Or whatever happens in those games.
I can only see the next year's.
Okay. Well, where shall we begin? Would anyone like to start with a type of a category that we could all start predicting? I like someone else to say, Chris, predict this, and then it really gets not Obichris. I mean, I like it when someone says Obichris, predict something.
Obichris, what's
Yeah.
the next big trend in beer?
Next big trend.
It's the first question on the outline.
It said style. I thought. Okay.
We flipped them.
Yes. Oh. Okay.
Sorry, I printed it.
Oh. Okay. The next big trend in beer. Interesting. That's the one that I
can only-
was having the hardest time coming up with. But I will.
Seems like an important one. For
Yeah.
The show.
Yeah. I can only usually see the future. But for this one last year, I believe you said sub 3% malt-driven cask ales were going to be the next big trend.
Nailed it.
In the beer industry as a whole. And
Yeah.
when pressed about whether you mean your own bar or the beer industry as a whole, you said, no, the whole industry.
Yeah. Well, I'm 1 for 1. Now I'm 2 for 2. That definitely happened. I think the next big trend in beer will be. Someone else go first. Let me think. It says answer not. It says
Ask again after 2 or 3 other predictions.
Yes.
I have an unfortunate vision. That is that many more breweries will close and at even more rapid,
apocalyptic vision.
a more rapid pace.
And that makes you happy because you're going to be happy in the future,
Right.
and you're going to be happy because they're closing.
Makes me super happy. That doesn't at all. In 2022, there were about 550 breweries that opened and 200 that closed, and I think that there are going to be many more that close. Like, I follow a lot of those auction websites with equipment and watch sales and things like that, and they are just coming aggressively. And it's usually the 30 to 60 barrel kind of regional breweries that you're seeing on these websites. It doesn't mean they're the only one closing, but like the ones that were in the in-between. They weren't quite really big, and they weren't super small and nimble or taproom only.
It's pretty big.
That's pretty well, yeah, but they're not like 90,000 barrels, or they're not making top 50 lists, but they're pretty big, but not massive. Not like huge. But I think that we're going to see a lot more breweries closing, and a lot more at all levels of production. Unfortunately, it's a good note to start on.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
See, I'm more in the boat of I think the ones that are going to be closing are going to be a lot smaller than that.
Yeah, I think
I think there's only so many that meet that size. There really isn't that many.
well, right, and I think that data point is just what shows up at auction. Where a lot of these smaller breweries don't go to like nationally presented auctions, so they'll just close more quietly and sell their whatever they have locally or whatever. But
Yep.
you're seeing like the bigger ones close too, which I think is sad and wild, and going to continue though.
For me, the next big trend in beer is I think that we're going to start seeing I'm not ready to go yet. I'm still not ready. Someone else go.
I'll jump in here. A little bit of tangential to the contraction that we're seeing in the industry. I think breweries will actually start to consolidate the amount of products that they offer, and just focus more on providing consistently available items. I think that era of new beer is it's still definitely going to be a huge part of what makes craft beer. But I think breweries are realizing as we're not introducing as many new customers to the segment or the industry at all, and the existing customers are getting older. They have what they like. They're going to want the things around more often and not have to go around chasing beer as much. I think that is, I think this is something that we've talked about for a long time. But I think in general, breweries will start to react and adjust accordingly. And you might start seeing more seasonal offerings from breweries that obviously bigger breweries have always had the seasonal offering, but I think you're going to start seeing more of that from the mid to small size breweries.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's starting already, and people are, or at least breweries are recognizing that it's happening, and that at the retail point that isn't the tap room, people aren't really experimenting with their purchases anymore, or at least as much as they were.
So Pokemon, the age of Pokemon is in decline.
Yeah,
Okay.
very much so.
Interesting.
It's just all
Retrograde.
It's all Pikachus now.
Yeah. Interesting. Mine, it was odd. It was hard for me to see because it was like, is this new beer? Is it not a new beer?
This better not be
Is
another
it new
false
beer?
start.
No, it was very difficult. And I think the next big thing, I know the next big thing, pardon me, I misspoke, is brand extension mania. I think we're just going to see the same beer, but not really the same beer, but also the same beer replicated over and over and over. I see this at the highest levels continuing like crazy, but I also see it trickling down to some of the smaller breweries as well. So you might see, will be
With pretend
cold
Pisces in
IPA,
it, maybe.
yeah, or will be with Brett
Yeah.
cold IPA.
Will be lime,
will
will
be
be
cold.
orange.
Yeah, will be cold. Will
Yeah.
be, will be hot. Will be Belgian.
Will be
will be
long.
rot.
Yeah, will be rotten. Will be.
Rotten will be. Yeah,
That's the Brett one.
that's what I see coming. So
Can I ask a follow up on that?
Please.
So, let's see. Do you see that as being something that really was a disciple of IPA? Like, could that be that? Are you only speaking IPA language when you say that? Like, can that apply to other styles, or is it because of the animal that IPA and all its branches that made all the brand extensions kind of necessary in a way of like simplifying the communication of what this is? Hey, this is an IPA if it has Hearted at the end of it, or if it has Jack at the end of it, or if it has Hero at the end of it. Can this prediction translate to anything outside of IPA?
It's a very good question. Let me look into my crystal ball and see. Yes, I do. I do think that for any popular brand, that there can be an extension of said brand. So, I mean, going back in the day, long ago, to like Blue Moon, many brand extensions for that. I could see it also happening for like summer seasonals, like just variants kind of on the summer seasonals, but using the same name to get the recognition going, but also having it kind of get some more pipe fill and get people to try it anew.
So it would still probably mostly be IPA because that's most of what
It's most
breweries like core
Yeah.
brands are. But a place like Deschutes might have more Blackfoot Porter,
exactly.
or
like 5 or 6
Left-Hand
different.
Milk Stout will have a bunch of different varieties.
Exactly.
To what extension was this not already pretty rampant? Like,
Are you saying I'm predicting the present? Is that what you're accusing me of doing?
I'm wondering what's
Yeah.
new for 2023 with this, because I don't disagree. I think we'll see more of it. But is there any evolution of it that you're seeing?
I think it's going to be like the de facto that everyone kind of does, rather than just the big guys doing it. So right now it's New Belgium. Bell's is pretty new to it, but they're hitting it pretty hard. I think Rev is doing it.
We've
They've
always
done
done it.
yeah, they've done it for with the hero.
So your prediction is
things.
more that it will trickle down into the smaller breweries that
Become more
branded all their IPAs differently. It will now just be a
not the
brand
little guys,
extension, not the little guys,
not the littlest guys, but people like Is Was and larger,
right? I mean,
or maybe Is Was and also larger. So maybe more of the regional breweries.
Well, I think regional breweries are already doing that pretty
It's
soon.
like-
Even like Phase 3 does that. Like Pipeworks does that. At least around like that's so. What I'm guessing, what I'm seeing is like
Please.
even smaller breweries will.
Yeah, I think it'll become more. Yes.
People aren't trying like 6 different names that just say IPA. They want like, oh, we like gummy whatever that Noon Whistle makes, so we want
Right.
all the gummies. We don't want whatever their new thing is. They want the gummy thing, the new
Yeah.
gummy thing.
I also think it could set.
What's a gummy? What's
It
a
could
thing?
kind of fit into what the Three-Eyed Take was saying, with people kind of consolidating what they're putting out there, but maybe they're consolidating their brands, but still maybe putting out more beers through it. We'll see. We'll see what the future holds. Not my most confident prediction, but still, I give it a 99
Yeah, but
to
you-
100%
but
chance
you-
of happening.
You got to it right away. So
Yeah.
what about you, Nostradouglas?
The one I'm going to go with is something I've been chatting about for probably the last 6 months or so, and they've really started to spring up out of nowhere, and that's hop waters. So, the NA beer trend has been humming for quite a while now, and gets a lot of publicity as one of the only styles growing right now in the big data measurement sets. But I think people have realized what my warning with that has always been, be careful and make sure you realize how much marketing you're going to need to spend on promoting a NA beer if you're going big with this. Obviously, if you can find a way to do this in your own small local community, and that's this type of brewery, or a totally different scenario. But the athletic comparison has always been a dangerous one because of most breweries are not built the way they are built, and they're not structured with a break-even point. Most breweries need to start making money right away. They were able to go years and years promoting this lifestyle. So anyway, I think that's became harder to do than people realized.
Yeah.
And
Has
I think
it ship sailed? Has the NA ship sailed? Can anyone really compete with either Athletic or the huge breweries and their, like the Heinekens of the world?
I think someone totally could if they treated it like a tech startup, where it's like, hey, we need to plow a bunch of money into this and not make money for 5 years, and then things are going to turn. If we have that long of a time horizon, because you just need to promote, you need to build, to use a cliche, you need to build the brand, and it's going to take a while. But acceptance is growing, and that's great, and it's becoming more of a thing. Athletic being at the front lines, starting to do the work. But to create a new brand, you could, but it's not how most craft breweries are funded and set up to do, which is to spend millions of dollars on Instagram ads and other kind of targeting people maybe looking for that occasion to hit them with links to your e-commerce page. Like, that's how NA beer is sold in a big way. So I don't think most craft breweries are in a position to be that patient, but hop water is something that craft breweries are set up much better to do. They don't require the equipment that it takes to make from what I know, the best kind of NA beers take a pretty significant capital investment. It's not that there's ways around that, but the best results usually come with a high cost. So it's hard to just say, when people say, you should just make one and put it on your tap room. I always say, I totally wish we could, but we'd have to spend $500,000 to be able to do that. Right. And we'd never get our money back from that. If we bought this thing, we'd have to then go big with it. And how do you go big with promoting the NA occasion when you're built on selling alcohol? It's tricky to do. It's not impossible, but it's tricky. But again, hop water is something you can kind of position a little bit differently. Most breweries have what they need to do it. They might need to add on a few small things, but it generally can be done. And it's not that it's terribly different than an NA beer, but is in the same way. And I've seen a lot of them popping up even locally just in the last few weeks.
Now, have you seen them popping up as taproom offerings or as distributed, like packaged goods?
A lot of them are so new that I'm sure they're going to be distributed, but so new, like in January 2023, like they're that recently, but they've been coming out. And when I started making like a little video series on Instagram talking about hop water back in the summer, and I would put out there, if anybody is making one of these and could just send me like 2 cans, I'd love to try some of these from around the country. I got crickets. All of a sudden in December, DMs from everywhere around the country saying, hey, can we just came out with one. We just came out with one. So the flood, I believe, is just starting. And I believe tons of breweries
Biblical
are gonna have
level
them.
floods
Is it
of hop water.
happen?
Get your arc
any
ready.
likelihood that it was a dry January play too to launch around now?
Oh, very perceptive third
Yes.
eye.
Yes.
That is a huge benefit, but it's weird. A lot of them are coming out like a week or two into the month. You'd think they'd
Sure.
be kind of have it ready to go a little bit earlier, but yeah. I mean, some people just do things based on the calendar year or when chain stores have their sets, depending on how big of a brewery we're talking about. But yeah, I'm sure that's
And how big are these? The ones you're getting. Do you have any idea of?
every which size.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I'm
The whole
what I
spectrum.
when I see the stuff, I kind of assume a lot of them are being produced at like co-packers, right? Where you come up with a brand, you have the money behind it, and then you find a facility to make it and package it for you, and then you go to market. I'd be interested to see what it looks like on a smaller scale, like actually produced at a craft brewery that is being made by the people who write the recipe. Because I think there is a little bit of that gap between craft breweries and NA beer. We're seeing new NA breweries come out, and no idea where the stuff's coming from. It just kind of seemed like an Instagram brand. I think that's what's going to happen. I think we're going to see more and more of that in the spaces of beverage, obviously, and it's starting to come into NA and craft beer in general.
I believe all of these that I'm getting are being made at the brewery because I believe every brewery is saying, hey, we've got the extra space. They're trying to use their stuff. They're not trying to split the money with some co-packer. They're saying, hey, we can make this. We can figure this out. I think they want to make it in-house. So I believe, and I can't speak for the 8 or so that I've gotten recently, but I'm pretty sure they're all made in-house because it's not terribly, it's hard to figure out what you want it to be and to get it right. But then once you have it right, then it's easy to replicate every day once you figure it out. But it's, we've been just playing around with it for fun at Rev, and we've done 25 batches and just can't make up our mind of how much do you want this to be something you would drink in the morning, like a sparkling water, but with a little hoppiness, versus at night where it's this like more intense version that comes closer to helping you resist an IPA on a Monday where you're trying to not drink beer 3 or 4 days a week, but you want something that has some of that flavor. It's two different things, and it's not that you can't do both, but if you want to keep it simple and just try to make one, where you go, it's like a spectrum of hoppiness, a little bit of bitterness to it too that you can completely leave out or have be a part of it. And it's hard to make up your mind because there's a case for every answer.
Where do you think, where do you see the hop water market this time next year, like in comparison to, let's say, NA?
I think it comes down to how many breweries decide to do it. I think if everybody does it, it's screwed. I think if just 10 Chicago land and Chicago breweries decide that this is something they're excited about, they want to have an NA product like this that isn't beer, then it's got a chance because it's like not everybody trying to get in it. It's like more than there's demand for.
Well, that brings finish.
That's it.
That brings a prediction for me because I'm just looking at how breweries tend to, if one brewery has something that seems really cool and unique and is doing well for them, to let them have that space is typically what happens.
Yeah.
So I predict that that's exactly what will happen.
That space.
They don't flood that space with hop water. So I think there will only be, if it does well, it will remain as only 10 or so. Not everyone will.
What's the price point of something like Lagunitas hop water?
They just released a 12-pack, which is going to be its frontline price is like $17.99. They
Yeah.
said it'll be on sale pretty frequently for $15.99 at big box stores who do sales and discounting and all that. So $16. So a lot. You have to factor in how much beer is going up in this same time period too. So it's not. It sounds bad, and it's not that it's not, but it's not as bad as that would sound a year ago. But with a lot of 12 packs of craft beer going well above the 20 mark now, there is at least some bit of a
Well,
gap.
the reason I asked the question is more about, could a smaller brewery hit the price point needed to be competitive in that space? That sounds. I having not run those, not like I have no idea what the cost of goods on hop water is. Have you seen it rev? Like that's like obviously not going too deep. I don't want to go too into detail, but are those numbers like pretty hittable? Like for a small brewery, would you say?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we've made hop waters that cost more than our Kolsch to make and our English mild. They can get expensive. It just depends on how much hop oils you're trying to use to really beef up the flavors. Those can get really expensive, but add to the intensity in addition to using hop pellets. It's different combinations that wildly affect the price. So, but they can be profitable. It's just the market is so brand new of shoppers for these. It's yet to be seen. It all comes down to how much volume can you do, and we have no idea right now. It's brand new. It's exciting that it's new. It's like we don't know the answer. Like it's not.
I want to see hop
there's no-
water.
we don't know what the ceiling is.
I want to see hop water sub styles as well. So maybe
They
like
have them.
Double dry hop water.
exactly.
They
I want
have
to see a
them.
$20 4-pack.
They have hop waters with tea. They have hop waters. They have like double the hops hop waters. It's already out there.
Yeah.
You knew that though. You saw that.
So I wanted to see it.
Yeah.
And I made it happen. I self-actualized.
I guess this moves us on to what current trend that's popular or exists will wane or disappear the fastest or first. Chris, why don't you go? Because there's some consistency here from you, which I like to see. Last year, your prediction was that cold IPA will die.
Yes. And it had, boy, has it.
What's
But-
your prediction this year?
It still has more dying to do, I feel. I looked long and hard, and I think cold IPA will be cold in the ground or closer to it
So more dead than it is currently.
than it did this past
more,
last
more
year.
death than it died this
Yeah,
last
in
year.
2022. It'll die even more in 2023. That's what I predict.
Sure.
That's what I know will happen.
So no one will make a cold IPA by the end
No, I
of
didn't say
2020.
that. I didn't say that. I mean, somebody's still making brewed IPA somewhere.
I would love to know who's making brewed IPA right now.
I don't even think the brewery. that
If
invented
you're
it-
making brewed IPA out there, please send to the Beer Temple, CC Hot Take Jake, or Three-Eyed Take
Old
Jake.
Nation makes one.
Right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go. Well,
Wow.
I'll be seeking that out.
It's not bad.
Great.
Is it a hazy brewed IPA?
No, it's not.
Okay. I
Yeah.
feel like that would be pretty hard to achieve both those things.
Yeah. So yeah, how about you, Dr. Strange, Mike?
This might already be happening. I'm not paying close enough attention, but that all non-smooge smoothie style beers and seltzers are
When
just
you say
gonna go.
non-smooge, like literally, it's not smooge.
If it's not smooge, people will just be like, nah, I'm not gonna.
If it's
bother."
not smooge, it ain't worth drinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. The smooge challenge, where you drink it against whatever the local smoothie style seltzer is, and you're like, smooge for me.
Okay.
I think there's gonna be way less production of them by the end of this year.
How do you feel about smooge? How will that fare this past year? This
Smooge
next
is a
year?
unicorn, so they're beautiful, graceful creatures. I have no idea what they do, so I can't predict smooge.
Oh,
So they sell smooge at Mariano's.
yeah.
They've broken through.
That's
in
probably
a way.
more of their, because it's made by homes, right?
Yeah.
That's most of their production now is smooge, right? Is that right?
I have no
I believe-
idea, but I would
I thought I
imagine
heard that.
so.
Sorry if I'm wrong, homes folks.
From what I've seen, Mike, Strange Mike,
Thank you, MD.
It seems, and I've learned this from TikTok. It seems like every market, Chicago may be a slight exception. It seems like every market has like 2-ish of these breweries that I've never heard of. Their names cross my feed, and I'm like, wow, I've never heard of that.
Right.
That make these beers like crazy. They make hot dog themed beers. They make just the craziest stuff. I've seen them in Texas. I've seen them in the Carolinas. Seen them in Colorado.
What is a hot dog themed beer? Yeah, can you just?
It's like a hot dog water hard seltzer or something like that. They're
I've
just like the most
seen-
atrocious stuff.
Okay.
Anyway,
Okay.
there's like a couple of these planted everywhere, and then those two breweries have this fan base that just adores them and feeds the beast, and they all are friends and trade, and
Yeah.
it's like a different, smaller version of the hazy IPA thing, and it exists, and I think it's healthy and happening. It's just not that big. It's just when you see it, you're like, oh my god, what is that? and so it's like burned into your brain, but it's small, but I think it's a healthy, strange ecosystem that's
Interesting.
scattered throughout the country.
Like
That's
Velveeta
the
cheese,
sunset of beer.
like smoothie IPA,
Yeah.
like stuff like that.
My thinking behind this is that they're expensive beers.
Yes.
They're like incredibly expensive to make and to buy. And in a time where everything is getting more expensive, your ability to justify your Velveeta hot dog water smoothie seltzer will probably be less
Yep.
than it was in previous years. So even at that smaller, like interconnected level, I'm not tapped into that. So I haven't, like, again,
So I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just
Yeah.
saying it's just this small thing that I think
Well,
is
I
going to
think-
keep going because it's small.
for me, this is also like smoothie style beers or super sweet milkshakes, and that oeuvre of beer as something being sold as like a relatively prevalent subgenre of things. I think that's going to, I don't know. I could be completely wrong, but this one is a little foggier than the other one. But yeah, just they seem like, to me, the proposition of it being so expensive and everything, like eggs and everything else that you're spending your money on, taking up so much more of your budget, the ability to justify, your ridiculous sweet goop water alcoholic beverage seems like something that might slow down.
I bet you're especially right too on like breweries that were generally IPA breweries, maybe IPA and barrel and have like a barrel program too, that also created this like subsection of those.
Yeah.
So it's not like their bread and butter. It's not their thing, but it's a thing they did.
Right.
Them saying, yeah, we're gonna
Yeah, we're
just
gonna
get away
stop,
from that.
yeah.
I could totally see that too. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Interesting. I could see those weird, crazy like pickle beers and stuff that you were saying. I've seen a trend with foods having like really crazy flavors to them.
Foods
Yeah, like foods like
like
potato chips. Having like charcuterie board flavored.
that already exists.
Or right, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm seeing that. So, and there was a big thing with candy canes. There was like Twinkie flavored candy canes this year, and
Wait.
all sorts of crazy candy canes that they were selling with like crazy flavors to them that were kind of like jokey, tongue in cheek, and stuff like that. I wonder if we could see some beers kind of going that way too, with some of these crazy flavors that are seen as a lighthearted play to
In my
maybe
mind,
seasonality, or I don't know.
in my mind, we've done that.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong, but we've done the like postmodern, pseudo ironic, but also not ironic nostalgia plays. Mm-hmm. But again, like I'm probably jaded, so
Right.
I don't know. Maybe you might be right. You probably have more of a idea of that than I do, seeing what goes through your store.
You could just say something. No, this is just pure what if. What if? See, I see into. I'm kind of like you. I'm multi. There's a multiverse.
Right.
Now you're the master of the multiverse,
That's
Doctor Strange, Mike. But so there's multiple futures out there. So I mean, technically, my predictions are 100%. It's just in which
Depending
universe
on which universe.
are our listeners listening in.
Of course.
You know, cold IPA is dead and gone in most of them, but maybe not the one you're listening in. Maybe it's ascendant for you. I don't know.
If you're listening in the universe where cold IPA is dead and gone, send your electronic letters to insiders@beertemple.com.
Yes. Craftbeertemple.com.
Yeah, craftbeertemple.com. I get it wrong every time.
Yes.
Well, let's get into some good predictions. Jake, what do you think? What current trend do you see?
Yeah, so
Wayne
I hedged a little bit
waxing.
here and looking at, I got the outline ahead of time and was able to gather my thoughts. But I think in general, trends like inherently will just become shorter lived, like sort of intentionally by the breweries themselves. Not that there's any sort of corroboration or getting together, but I just think we've started to see that, for instance, like resurgent styles might come into vogue, but not wanting to push that too far, play it for a season, brew an ESB or, what a black IPA, red IPA, et cetera, kind of push that for a little bit, and then kind of let it go to the wayside. And then, I think that's just kind of the path forward for a lot of breweries playing with trends.
So it's a meta prediction that hot trends will wane.
Trends will wane.
Trend
or
chasing.
shorten.
I just don't see big trends happening in the current state of beer while things are in contraction, taking fewer swings, playing things more safely. I mean, obviously there's always the black swan event where the thing you can't predict. But just from what I'm seeing on day to day in Chicago specifically, and kind of what we're doing is letting things come and go, and that being okay. And then when they're ready to come back, they're ready to come back.
Right. So all trends will die.
No more trends.
Well, yeah. It's not about it's
lack of trends is trending.
not like trends dying like on like of our own volition, essentially, like allowing them to die and not like pounding them into the ground when they become kind of like loss of any sort of romanticism or whatever about the beer, that like pounding them into the ground where people don't even like the thing anymore. I think that's hopefully I think that's like the trend going forward, or at least more so.
Mm-hmm. It does seem like as soon as there's a style that has a just glimmer of interest or romanticism or anything, like just any little bit of magic to it, it quickly becomes like grasped at by both brewers and drinkers.
I think
too.
Czech Dark Lager was like probably one of the more recent
that
ones.
Italian pills I would put in
just like
that same category.
At least Chicago locally, you just saw a handful of like prominent breweries do them, but you're not seeing them stick around, right? No one's saying that Czech Dark Lager is the next new thing. It's just that lever you can pull, and you hit it for a certain period of time, and then you can pull it back, you bring it back when you'd like to.
Right, like nobody you think is going to be like, we're going to make a year-round Italian pills now. Like that's just what we're going to do. I tend to agree. I just don't see that happening. I see it as more.
I think things in
Put it
like
out.
2013, like the black IPA, the first time around, everybody not only tried to do that, but tried to make it a year-round beer. And so many beers that are trends especially outside of IPA, are kind of seasonal, have a seasonality to when these are most often chosen as the style of choice off a menu. And so I've always thought just there's so many styles that are best left, as Jake is describing it, where the way to preserve this, the way for this to never go out of style is to be gentle with it, just have it around for
Right.
one time. So and hopefully not everybody do it either. Hopefully the people that are truly passionate about it, let them do it. And the people that don't care and just see them popping up everywhere, need those people to just pass and do your own thing that you're excited about. But like like the Black IPA can live forever if it's just a one-off from the breweries who love doing them.
This is more of a wish than a prediction. It's like a return to more restraint and not just like, well, we know the bare minimum of what that thing is and we saw it on Instagram. And so now we're going to make our version. And like that's what happened. Like Czech dark lager, those things have nothing to do with a Czech lager. They're like just darkened pilsners. We made our crispy boy and we made it dark. Like, and that's the type of thing that like really kills those things. And then
I think it's more than wishful thinking. Like I think at this point every brewery has learned many lessons and you know had fallen on their face a few times with pushing something farther than it had the interest to go, and you learned and so
I think there's so many breweries that's their entire approach to product mix is just what's killing it on Untapped, what are we seeing, like, and so hopefully there's like some.
But are there breweries at this point doing that still? Because the breweries who've done that, they've already kind of carved out what their identity is. And are they like, if a brewery that, say, looking at Untapped for whatever the hot style was, they haven't made it by now. They're not here, or they're new, completely new. I think we're in this maturation phase of craft beer. If you're still here, there's a few different obviously possibilities.
You
for why
want
you're
to
still here.
select
I think we're entering that.
9,500 few.
I think right. I think we're entering that phase where if you don't have a good understanding of who you are and what your brewery does and what makes your brewery money, and it was just chasing, what, even if it was genuine and just chasing what interests you as the only idea of why you make anything, this is the find out era. Like I think the last 3 or 4 or 5 months and into 2023 is the real beginning of the find out era.
I think I really like Doug's idea of what I would say is a return to styles being seasonals, and that's how you would have a lot of styles. Like Three Floyds used to put out so many different styles like 10 years ago, and they would all be as seasonals. They had an ESB, and they had a dry Irish stout, and they had an Irish red ale, and they had all sorts of stuff and barley wines. And I would like to see that. And I think one way, it is a way, if there's so many of these styles, if that kind of gets people to kind of branch out a little bit, is to have them seasonally. I also think one of the reasons that the fall season has is so strong with seasonality is because and maybe winter too to a lesser degree, is there's several different like fall, like really strong fall seasonal styles. You've got Oktoberfest, you've got pumpkin beer, you've got the autumn
Harvest beer,
yeah, like
wet
the
hop.
autumn, the wet hop, but then also those like autumn beers.
Sure.
Like those are kind of not really in style as much right now, but they're still around. So, so I think that it's and then right after that you've got your Christmas beer, which I think there's still a lot of leeway with that because everyone can do it a little bit different. It's not the exact same thing. If you try everybody's Christmas beer, they'll all taste a little bit different, I would hope, at least, because there's just so much you can do with that. I mean, the spicing levels and stuff like that. So I like the idea of that we could kind of take that idea where there was a year, I forget what year it was, where like everybody did a pumpkin beer and then they realized they overdid it. And then the next year, everyone did an Oktoberfest and they screwed that up too. So now I think people are kind of like, just picking and choosing which ones they do and maybe only doing the ones that kind of speak to them. And I think it's good for the health of those seasonal beers. I don't want to see pumpkin beers die. I mean, do I drink a lot of pumpkin beer? No, but I want them to stick around. It would suck if they just go away and it becomes a fall IPA.
Right.
I
mean, I think that's like one of the. This is very off topic for this on a tangent, but that's one of the unseen kind of dark sides of having a million little local breweries where pumpkin ale from Dogfish isn't as readily available, I don't think, because there's 160 breweries in Chicago and they're all making a pumpkin beer, and then when it's not as popular, those breweries just kind of stop making them, and now it's like, where do I find a pumpkin beer? So
I think we brought in only
they'll
one
just
or
come
two
back.
this year. We
Dogfish
brought in
was
Whole
pretty bad.
Hog,
Yeah.
and barely any other ones now, and people loved it. I mean,
Yeah.
people were going for it.
We're gonna find out.
Yeah.
Air out. Doug, what do you think is a trend that will wane or wax and disappear first or fastest for the coming year?
So I think this one is underway. This isn't this has already begun, but I think we're entering an era where, I wrote down the end of the single hop IPAs, and I think in conjunction with that, we're entering the era where we're going to see a lot less, almost no new, cool new hop. There's not going to be this, what's the, Sabro.
Sabro is probably the
There's-
last one.
There's not going to be, maybe if you could say Rawaka,
Right.
if you go a little
And we
newer than that.
Yeah.
Literally went to the
But
end of
that's-
the earth to find a new hop varietals.
Milwaukee's been around for a while, though.
Sabro is much bigger,
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
But Sabro
Yeah.
is expanded and is available, and there's a lot of it. Rawaka is still tiny in New Zealand.
Yeah.
So I think the interest waned, and I am, of course, not speaking for all beer consumers. I'm sure there's thousands of people that would say, I like a Mosaic hop IPA. I would order that. And that's not what I mean. But I think as the focus of IPA series, I think that the rotation being driven by a single hop is just about done. And again, I think we're not going to see many more cool new hops. I think the attention of the hop farms is focused on hop products that help boost the intensity, getting into the brew house. We've talked about that on the show before. I think that's where a lot of their innovation is going, and it's going to be less about yet another new variety that sounds like the last one, because they can start to sound a little repetitious too. And I think there's so many now. I think more varieties is not really what they need.
Right.
They need to help breweries get the same intensity for lower costs or both.
There's only so much brain space in most consumers for hop varietals, right?
Yeah.
So they know the ones that exist, and they're I had my Citrus Simcoe's Mosaics, and now I'm just I can't put any more in there. I have to do my taxes or take care of my kids. I can't.
But I think you always have to have that caveat that you could have lightning in a bottle, and there could be a hop that comes out that just changes all of that overnight.
Well,
It is possible.
I think that
I think it's
idea,
possible.
Possible.
I think that
Possible for
idea and that dynamic of breweries chasing new hops and leading to hop farms trying to come up with the next new thing probably came out with some not great hops that
Yeah.
hop farms were trying to sell off as these are the next new thing. And I think brewers learned the hard way that by trialing those hops that everything wasn't necessarily as getting better, right? There was kind of a plateau, in my opinion. I think there's a reason why the best IPAs in the new school era are pretty much centered around a handful of different hops, right? Citra, Mosaic, Simcoe, et cetera, et cetera. You're not seeing, there's all these other hops that have come out since then, and they might be good role players, but if any of them come close to changing the game the way that Citra and those have, I would argue no way, not even close.
Right. There's a parallel to technology, right? Those were new technologies. We didn't have access to that type of thing before, where it's now there's an iPod where you can put 1,000 songs on there. That's crazy. And now you can make calls on it. Oh, and then now you can have all these apps. And then now we're at the point where it's there's 4 cameras instead of 3. That's not really it's not really changing it for me very much. What else? What other avenues can they go down?
I like that a lot. So I think breweries are now going to have to make IPAs with a new story behind it,
Yeah.
which is a harder story to tell, but potentially can have a bigger impact if you do a good job at it. But it used to be so easy. You could just say, okay, our next 12 IPAs are going to be Citra this month, Mosaic the next month, Galaxy.
Right.
That was like so easy. And those easy days are over.
Oh, yeah.
Now it's like, now you got to work for it. Now you got to come up with something. How do you make it compelling now?
Right.
There are ways, just got to
You got to be
really
better,
dig in.
better at working with hops. Really, I mean, you.
Definitely.
Well, and then the synergy of the storytelling isn't as like surface level apparent, right? Like you can't just be like, well, we put this thing in the beer that changed the way the beer tastes, and you care about it, and then like, yeah, we do. Like if you're like using incognito, some people care about that, and it will change the way the beer tastes, and probably in a way that people enjoy. But like the storytelling of it can't just be like, we use this thing that's liquid instead of pellets. So it's going to be more creative and more divorced from just simply, here's the raw ingredients. Isn't that exciting?
Mm-hmm.
What's really interesting about IPA, and I was having this thought when I was in New York and just drinking more New England IPAs, and I think the scene out in that area of the country is a little bit different. But just this idea that a brewery like Fiddlehead or Alchemist, they have, I'm thinking of just these two specifically, but I know a little bit about Bissell Brothers, but I'm not sure. I can't really speak to that. But point being, they kind of just have like the standard IPA, and it's like just awesome. It's amazing, and they've just like iterated that. They haven't iterated on that. They just like continue to improve it and work on their process and make the best IPA, kind of like how breweries might approach like their core Pilsner, right? Like, let's just make this the thing that we do. Let's focus on it. Let's not try to bring in new hops to make it better, because you can't, like, we've found the ingredients that work for this style. This is what it is. It's interesting how IPA has not really gone down that route yet of like a Pilsner, right? Where like there's like one way to do it at this particular brewery. That's how they do it forever. And that's that. But I do think there's some insights to be gained from like how New England breweries in general do it.
Yeah, I think we're getting there, right? That we're getting to like the same differentiation as like Pilsner and Helles and the different types of lager. I don't know if it's like, we're definitely not all the way there, but there's still so new compared to those.
But in terms of like what a brewery's portfolio might look like, breweries will have like the one lager, Pilsner, etc., but then they're going to constantly iterate on IPA versus just like, let's make one amazing IPA and have that be the thing, right? I think that's just, obviously there's like difference in how the market developed and hops themselves becoming like a marketing thing, but it'd be interesting to see if that can shift more towards like, hey, forget all these new interesting hops, like they might have uses, but let's just like make the best IPA that we possibly can.
Sure.
Can we let's take a short break, and then we'll come back, because there's still more predictions that we're going to make, and if any of them are things that you can possibly invest in ahead of time, do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
I've got a currency of the future for you after the break.
That's what I'm talking about. All right, when we return. We're back. We've had a change.
Vibe shift.
Vibe shift. We're getting into some really important predictions now.
Are you not entertained?
Intense. Exactly.
Stoic.
It's true. Where shall we begin? Where shall we go next?
And this is the annual segment of the taste of things to come.
Mm-hmm. Tasty. It's delicious. Delicious topic.
The deliciousness to come. And we'll start with, what is the next quote-unquote new style of beer to get attention?
What is the next? You have to do it to the music.
Yeah, this is very like...
What is the next style? Look into the future and tell us.
Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
All right.
Nostradouglas.
Last
What do
year-
you foresee?
A lot of the headlines over the last few years have been how beer is dying and we've seen the big macro brands moving away from beer and using line extensions of their Bud Light brand into hard seltzer and hard seltzer lemonades and teas, and less focus, no more Super Bowl ads for the American lagers and all the money and attention going toward other things. Well, I think craft breweries are going to say, not so fast. We're heading into a recession, tough times. We need something of economic value for our consumers. And I think craft breweries are about to go in on the American lager.
Got it.
We've touched on this in a,
Like
in
the
a mid-year, in a
hams.
mid-year. Exactly. Their own high life, not their Miller Lite, their banquet, their high life,
Right.
their kind of premium lager. Craft breweries
Some
are
retro
gonna,
kitsch attached
oh
to it.
yes, all the nostalgia in this present day American craft, all malt lager.
Got it. I would love to see a return to the Michelob bottle shape. I think if Bud put out Michelob now, it would destroy.
Ooh,
It would
One of
destroy.
the best bottle shapes in history.
Yeah.
they should
Let's be
sell
real.
if they sold those at those like Pizza Huts throughout the country. They're like retro Pizza Huts with the Michelob bottles.
With the foil, like
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
top. Yeah.
That's pure.
Amazing.
That's pure. Personal pan pizza and because you read 10 books this summer and a
Yep.
Michelob. Whew, I'd do that right now. I'd drive 300 miles.
All
for that.
malt. That was an all malt beer. So we should, yeah. See who. I'm sure they own the the patent on that bottle shape, but
Oh, of course.
if they let it slip by accident,
It's anytime you're looking for like a very unique bottle shape, it's a lot. It's pretty dang hard to get it
yeah.
to come across those. I've done the research myself on specific ones. For instance, I can't remember the brand. Those wine coolers that are kind of have the similar like the
Barlin
angled,
James.
yeah, the angled bottle tops. I thought it'd be really awesome to have like neon, for instance, in like a 4-pack of those bottles.
Little neons.
Little neon, yeah,
Neon coolers.
exactly,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Hard to come
I
by.
guess you guys already make little neon.
Couldn't find out who
That's what
made
the
them.
kit is.
Yeah.
I think they only
Yeah.
exist for those people. I like that prediction a lot.
I do too.
Yeah. Actually, like not to spoil categories coming up, but like that might have been mine for, or I was thinking of that for like the lager category.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
No,
that prediction's
it's all
like
yours. I
super
didn't
spot
take it.
on. It ties in with some other, just based on again the outline that was provided to us. It ties in with some other kind of predictions that I was gonna make as well. I think that's super astute.
You're telling me that wouldn't do it. I'm
Chris
looking
has
at
got
a picture.
the old Michelob bottle ad
hot.
up, and it's an amazing label.
It's like a lava lamp.
It is, and
Can you put it in the show notes?
there
for,
is
for the
a
fans
yeah.
at
I mean,
home?
well,
Yeah.
there's a
that should be the
there's a Twitter account called "Bring Back Michelob Teardrop Bottles."
Yes, teardrop
And-
bottles. Okay, that's the official name.
Can anyone
hit up Joe
predict?
Breslow and see if he has
Can anyone predict how many followers this account has? I'm gonna follow. It's gonna have one more.
538.
How recent? How
gonna
recently
have one
was
more.
how recent was the post made? Curious.
That post I just showed.
Or how recently have they been posting in general? Are they an active account?
I'm not gonna say.
Okay, so not a lot of followers then.
You correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a brewery,
37 followers.
Okay,
a beer I used to love. Also, I think used those bottles, but I could be wrong. But Stroh's, didn't they use those
Stroh's had
teardrop
those?
bottles?
Okay, I don't know. Look it up.
I don't mean the current day Stroh's, but back in the heyday of the '90s.
pull it up, Jamie. Pull up this bottle.
I see some stubbies
JRE,
for
baby.
them, but I don't. We'll have to see. It's so hard for us to look back, as you were saying. I don't see a Stroh's bottle that looks exactly like that, but
Save it for what's going to be the hot packaging.
the teardrop bottle.
Teardrop bottle's coming back. All right, one take. Three-eyed take. Hot take. What do you think is going to be the next
Searing,
new style?
New style.
searing, burning
New
hot,
style.
New
three
style.
eyes.
Now resurgent.
Well,
New style.
New style. Lupo Lager. Next question.
Hell yeah.
Whoa. Okay.
You don't know? Look it up.
Now you know.
See, so last year Jake refused to answer the question, saying he's too focused on what Hopewell is doing to know what's going to be a new style. And now that's what they were working on, the Lupo Lager.
For me, oh yeah.
And maybe it's just me, but for me, Lupo Lager.
Will you explain what Lupo Lager is to the people?
It's our.
So
sorry. For those who don't know at home, or those listening in their cars, I work for Hopewell Brewing, and we have a line of hop-forward lagers we call Lupo lagers. We essentially approach them with hopping rates like an IPA, but cold fermented. But our process is a little more varied than that. You can learn more. I'm working on my elevator pitch.
You just said cold and IPA within 3 words of each
Cold
other. Come on,
fermented
my guy.
IPA, lager yeast.
Got
All
it.
right,
go.
So it's going to be a new trend, and it's going to originate. So ground zero for this whole new trend is going to be your brewery.
Yes. So
Wow.
ground zero for this emergent
Earth-shattering
trend.
prediction.
You will see.
I feel like this is very similar to something Chris said is dying.
you will see. Say okay.
I didn't say Lupo Lager is dying.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing.
I never said that.
That's true. You did not say that.
You didn't say Lupo Lager. Okay. It's a distinction without a difference, possibly, but it is a distinction.
How many years in a row do you think we're gonna have a Lupo Lager / double
Ascension
dry hop
/ death.
lager / cold IPA conversation on
What's,
the what's gonna happen next year podcast?
Well, we gotta start taking these notes down now, so we don't have to
I'm
scrub the episode
I'm
an hour
taking
before
them.
we record.
Hey,
You know what we said?
those are our methods. It's gotta be top of mind.
So
But the Lupo Lager,
can I?
Nice.
May I go next? I think thiol beers are going to be the next flash in the pan, the next new thing.
and what do you mean by that?
I mean beers that are using that omega thiolized yeast to create that kind of very intense, fruity character that you can get from Phantasm and some of those other hop products.
Phantasm, not a hop product.
Well, those other whatever IPA product, whatever you want to call that stuff.
And you think beers that taste like that, or beers that are specifically marketed and
marketed.
presented as thiol?
Yeah. I think that'll be a thing that people try to make into a thing.
Try keyword,
Hey,
and you'll be saying that's the next trend to die. In next week's episode.
it might already be dead.
Yeah.
So I should trademark all the thigh puns that I can get right now.
That's true.
Yeah.
I see chicken thigh. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Thigh. Are you a thigh man?
Skies out, thios out.
Yeah. Skies out.
so,
thighs out. Skies out. Thighs out.
Not to give away some of my predictions, but there's a category that's like crossover collaborations, which non-beer thing. So it's going to be like a KFC bucket of thighs with a thiolized lager.
Extra
Is
crispy.
Batter.
Yeah.
in a
Like a
teardrop
beer
bottle.
batter.
In a teardrop
Thiolized
bottle.
lager, beer
Let's
batter.
get back to it. Extra crispy is that?
That's-
Yeah, that actually was really good. Sorry, moved right past it, but that was extra excellent.
That's too obvious. It's too good.
It's too good.
You have to do it. And then Popeyes will come out with their own version.
That's better.
Yeah.
but it'll be a sandwich.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. It'll be great. And it'll also come with a thiolized beer.
yeah, of course, in the drive-through.
Okay.
My prediction: the new hot style is non-alcoholic beers, but being made by not Athletic. Athletic is obviously going to be huge. They're going to be the biggest one, but smaller producers of it, probably co-packing, and then also I think there will be small breweries using non-alcoholic producing yeasts, stack yeasts that aren't quite as
Non-alcoholic.
investment capital intensive to like get the dealcoholizer to do it a certain way, but to have a non-alcoholic beer option that will be done to varying degrees of success. But I feel like we'll see a lot of smaller breweries doing taproom versions of that, or moving out from that.
A taproom NA beer for a small guy. So like an was taproom with an NA beer.
Get
NA
a
stays on?
tap room first, then the NA.
Can I build on this?
Yep.
I feel like connecting to something I said before, how like it's too expensive to make NA beer
Right.
and have one on at your tap room. There's a great brewery in Wisconsin, Octopi, who is set up to make NA beers. And if you wanted to create an NA brand of your own and you deal with the marketing and selling, they can make you a very good one.
Yeah.
And they can make it different from others and all that. But that aside, it'd be neat to, if they could like fill that need, like if you could have your own house NA beer that you brand as your own, but you don't have to deal with actually producing it.
Right.
That'd be interesting.
Right. Getting a dealcoholizer is insane.
It's very expensive.
And you have to pasteurize these things if they're going outside of your tap room. Even if they're staying in your tap room, you really need to pasteurize them. But I think we'll see people trying many different avenues to making non-alcoholic beer.
Interesting. Now, in the is-was tap room of the future, you will have an NA beer. You won't have a hop water, I don't think, but will you have a yeast water? Will you have an ester water?
Like a seltzer. Is it NA?
Ester water. Yeah, it's NA.
Ester water. Yeah, we'll definitely have that.
Yeah, phenol water.
Ooh, I'm not a big phenol. Yeah, just phenols, though. No esters.
No esters.
Just black peppercorn water.
Yeah, or like
Spicy
shower
water.
curtain water.
Yeah, rubber bands, smoked peppercorn water. Yeah, we haven't made anything anyone wants to buy yet, so I think I should keep that trend up.
I think it's a great move. My crystal ball, it's kind of a black plastic ball, is telling me, yes, absolutely, is what it's saying when I ask if it'll be a success.
Good.
Most certainly.
You can't go against the
My sources say yes. It's just
ball.
telling me. It's telling me over and over again. Yeah, my sources say yes, absolutely, yes. Okay, so it's good. It's
Good to know.
It's coming up.
Be our bestseller. Phenol
Good.
water.
Phenol water,
Gross.
yeast water.
So disgusting.
No. Well,
Anyway.
you said that about Smooge.
I still do.
Where are we next?
I believe we're
Strange
in
Mike.
the next resurgent style.
Good. This one's a little mystical.
Last year, Chris said cask English pale ale.
Nailed it.
As always.
You're drinking one. What are you drinking right now? What's in your glass? What style of beer is on?
Cask English dark beer.
There you go.
So
Pub ale.
Didn't really nail it. You said pale ale, but what do you think this year?
Paradigm. It's on a spectrum. You know. Pale. What is pale?
Pale is not dark.
Okay. This year, what is going to be a resurgent style? Black pills. Oh wait,
That's not what.
no, I got the wrong one.
Audible.
Non-imperial stouts. Yes.
Just crusher stouts.
Love it.
Yes, that's
Love
what
it.
I see. I see people wanting that dark beer,
The flannel pajamas. The
but they don't
Reapers,
have
the Guinness.
10 friends to pour a thimble full for each of them to pass around and compare notes on the adjuncts.
We just canned one today
Oh.
into our seasonal series.
They want a 4-pack or a 6-pack of something that might be, sub 8%, might be sub 7%,
Ideally,
Yeah.
sub 5%, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Sub 5%.
Yeah.
You just want
that's-
Guinness.
That's called Guinness, bro.
is,
It exists.
I think on the last year's episode, I said it's
Last year, the beer you were planning on drinking in the future was Guinness.
yes, and it's still the case. I will be drinking Guinness as much as possible.
Yeah.
It's one of the best beers ever made.
It definitely is. It is definitely one of the best beers I had. That was my Christmas Day beer. I was at Bush McGuire's, as I always am on Christmas Day, and was enjoying several Guinness.
I think I've drafted it in every
Guinness
single draft we've done.
Yeah.
Like I think I've snuck
Perhaps.
a Guinness into around like 3 or 4 every time.
I mean, it's up there, man.
It's
on the Mount Rushmore.
I had a couple the other day. They
Mm-hmm.
were tasting so good.
Yep. So yeah, I think that is the next resurgent style. It's the drinkable, entire bottle drinkable, and then have a second of stout. I want that flavor profile, but I don't necessarily need to have it be
All the sugar,
from
the alcohol,
an imperial. We're not in Russia. We don't need to. We're in America.
Why are you
last
Russian?
I checked. Freedom won.
Oh boy. Doug, last year you predicted hoppy wheat beer would make a resurgence. I think I've seen some of that.
The big one was Sierra doing a sunny little thing, but I'm
Yeah.
happy to take the L on that one. I didn't see what like I thought I would.
Sure. Maybe this is the year.
Maybe. But that's not my prediction. Wait. When I said American Lager, was that this one? Or was that a different category?
American Lager was the new style. Did you mean that to be your resurgent style?
Yes.
Got it.
We all
why don't you pick a brand
praised
new
you for it being a
style?
new style. So what was your new style then, Doug?
Sound.
Let me
of-
just give another research.
he's got the chicken bones. He's throwing them. He's reading the bones. He's saying that's
Tea leaves are floating around.
Tea leaves.
You know-
It sounds like notebook paper, but
Chris mentioned what a great time of year fall is, and how Oktoberfest has really risen to I feel like every level of craft beer fan, whether you're a slushy fan, a hazy double IPA fan, or you're into the classics and everything in between. Everybody is down for Oktoberfest, and I think almost all breweries now make an Oktoberfest. Some go bigger with it than others, but everybody's making it. And I'm thinking maybe this is the year. This one will take a few years. So I'm just saying we're going to see the inklings of this year, and then it'll snowball into the next few. That once October comes, and especially October ends, it's hard to sell an Oktoberfest anymore. But how do we keep the momentum going with something new that takes Oktoberfest to a next level of the season? And that's where I think there's a really nice home in that mid-October through the end of November range for a Dunkel, a style that was like a kind of a big hitter in the Trader Joe's era of craft beer, the mid-2000s. They made a popular one and that turned a lot of people onto knowing what the heck a Dunkel even is. Mm-hmm. And then they just were kind of gone. And then I've seen them I felt the vibrations of them starting to come back last year. And now I feel like this is the year where a significant advancement could be made to set up for a few years of Dunkel getting some positive momentum and finding that home in that time of year and that season.
So I think that style of beer, people want that flavor profile at that ABV. I think they want it. I've always been surprised that Dunkel is one of the most obscure styles, really, that there is, for as kind of big as it used to be. I think it needs a name change. I think it needs to be like a Bavarian dark lager or something like that.
Bavarian rot beer.
Yeah. I think
That's
we need
red,
to.
dude.
I think we need to start doing brand extensions on
Bavarian
the word rot
beer.
in beer.
Every beer should be a variation of rot beer, in my opinion.
Yeah, because I think Dunkel maybe could work, but it hasn't.
Yeah, it's not as scary as I've always
Craft
said.
beer.
I've always said Kolsch and Schwarzbier or styles that
Yeah.
would do so much better if they had a more American, a familiar name to Americans.
Isn't that what the
made
Czech dark lager phenomenon was people just finally being like, oh, I liked Schwarzbier.
Aren't they different?
They're
Kinda.
supposed to be, but I don't think they were.
I don't know. I thought they were.
Some of them were.
I thought Schwarzbiers were more roasty, and Czech dark lagers tend to be
I think
smooth.
Czech dark lager was as varied as
Fair.
as the breweries that made them. Sorry, I interrupted what you were saying, though. I didn't mean to throw you off track.
I'm done.
So
Okay.
the Dunkel is we're going to see just the
Dunkel.
inkling.
I love that.
The Dunkel. I would love to see it.
It's a 3-year plan.
I've been saying. Well, I've been saying that
the
it
ultimate
should
cop
be
out
This is year
on
one.
a prediction show.
for probably 8 years. I've been saying I'd love to see it, and that people want that style, but
I think it's just a dumb sounding name, to be honest. Like the only thing holding it back from people actually drinking it. Mm-hmm. Dunkel. Sounds
Dunkel,
goofy.
Dunkel.
What about this? What if they are rye dunkels? Does the rye make it now intriguing? Oh, a dunkel I was going to pass, but rye dunkel, kind of like dark lager. Czech dark lager.
Right. That's why I was saying like Bavarian dark
Yeah.
lager or something.
Bavarian brown lager.
Bavarian could be a little like, you know,
But Czech.
But yeah, like different than Czech. Is Czech more
I think
enticing
so.
than Bavarian?
I think so.
What about
Huh.
Franconian? No, that's
No.
too.
That's too nerdy. People know that Czechia is a country. They don't know that it's
Right.
Franconia.
Just make up a.
Well, I think
Sounds draconian.
there is something about putting that that modifier in front of the style that gives it some added intention, at least
Intrigue.
as a perception for the customer, right? Like if Czech dark lager, like we're saying, like it just conveys a little bit more.
Premiumness.
Yeah, or just like, hey, we made a decision here.
Specialization.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I don't know if most of the ones that got made did that though.
I'm not saying they
No,
do in
but that's-
actuality. I'm saying that's
right.
the communication to the customer.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
by using that verbiage.
Effective.
Agreed.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
effective.
yeah. It's totally a game changer for sure.
It's like just obscure enough that people are like, oh, yeah, that sounds like a cool thing.
right, exactly. I mean, that's been happening in beer for a long time, but now we're just finding some maybe more.
Lagery.
Like
lagery ways.
Yeah,
to
yeah,
do it.
yeah.
India
exactly.
Pale Ale?
Yeah.
That's cool. That's different than our pale ales we're having now.
Well, if we're entering the riff zone here, I want to talk about.
Go, man.
We've
Well,
been in the riff zone for
We're
an
at a riff zone.
hour and 23 minutes, baby.
Well, I want to kind of just continue
25
the love for or the excitement around darker beers in general, and thinking that they're going to make a resurgence. My prediction is brown ale coming
Nice.
back. I think that was personally for me that was kind of a very ubiquitous style coming up in craft beer when I started getting into it in the mid 2000s. Every brew pub had a brown ale. That was kind of the way to separate craft beer or just beer in general or any non-macro beer from or separate yourself from any macro beer in general was to do something darker and maltier. I think brown ales have a lot of what we're talking about, what people are looking for, maltiness, but lower on the ABV scale. Pretty agreeable flavors overall. Limited, generally not roasty or super bitter, I think. But in general, like that is sort of like the nexus of, or one piece of this puzzle of like Dunkel or lower ABV stout. I think that in general, I think that's something that people are looking for, and I think it's just finding. I think brewers just need to figure out the best way to kind of present that to people, and once they do, I think people are ready for it.
So are people ready for malt again? Because malt has been
They've
the
always-
enemy for a while.
See, this is the thing. I think there's like the silent majority around this style of beer, malty beer. I have a lot of friends who are like maybe not super into beer, but love that kind of beer. That's the kind of beer that they want to drink if they're drinking craft beer in general, but they just don't see it, so they choose not to drink beer at all because it's not an option at a lot of spots. I think you get a lot of current non-geeks drinking if you bring out brown ale. Obviously, the question then becomes, well, can a brown ale in the market, can it attract enough new customers to offset the IPA freaks who aren't buying that? That's the question. But I think with effective communication around it, I think it could be super viable.
How many years or months or decades do you think we are from malty being a positive descriptor craft brews are putting on labels? Like hoppy pale ale is a thing that it's going to be like malty pale ale going to be a thing in the next 3-5
I'd say at
years.
least 5 years away. Because I think
It's like
malty is still a terrible word for IPAs. Yes, you will have people trying to be contrarian and saying I miss malty IPAs, but really broadly, they don't.
Right.
They
Yeah.
don't. Let's face it. Like even they might want bitterness still, but they're not looking for the old
Caramel 60.
caramely malt.
Yeah.
Yuck. But so that type of malty can be something people remember, especially people who are only sort of paying attention, sort of into beer, that don't know all the ins and outs. A malty IPA sounds terrible to them, so they might assume that malty in I don't know, any of these low ABV dark styles we're talking about is a bad thing, when meanwhile it's like a glorious thing. Like
Sure.
a 4% English mild that's super malty is like
Yeah.
incredible.
I mean, calling something a malt bomb back in the day was like a huge put down. That's like the worst thing you could say about a
Right.
beer.
Because what that
It's a
meant
malt
was it was
bomb.
an oxidized malt bomb.
Or,
Like,
or it was old and the hops had died off, and all that was left was the malt
Right.
flavor, and then like a 6-month-old IPA or something.
But all things involve an evolution where you reject the thing that the previous generation liked about it, right? Where like so these like clean, almost maltless IPA being like the pinnacle of beer success. Like, is there going to be a next generation of people who are like, not that they want like malty IPAs, but they want to identify with something else, right? Because like the next generation after 1,000 IBU or Stone, it's so bitter you're not going to like it, was like, we don't want any bitterness. We want all the hop character, but we don't want any bitterness. Does that exist for malt in the next like?
So is malt coming back, you're saying?
Right. Or just like the discussion and talking about it as like, this is a malty thing that you're going to enjoy drinking. Like, is that ever going to happen is what I guess more.
It's never going to be a year-over-year thing. It's never going to go from no to yes in a single year. It's just going to make progress,
Yeah.
I'd say.
Slow
but sure progress.
Normcore malty amber ales. That's
Normcore.
gonna be next year. Yeah, yeah. Dadcore, normcore.
Okay.
Anyway,
All right. Well, here we go. So that's
Riff over.
The next big beers are going to be Thial beers, Lupo lagers, American lagers, and NA beers.
well, yeah. Well, I said
No wait,
next
NA
resurgent
stouts,
style.
Dunkels, brown ales, and you have to go.
I'm saying classic American Pale Ale, which is what the hot take, Third-Eyed Take said last year. But I think we see, and it might never have gone away. It might just be more of the like it shine back on it a little bit more.
You thinking like?
And this is more in line with like the kind of talk earlier about how like breweries are going to stop making a bazillion different things. They're going to focus on their core brands and kind of trying to like connect to people that way. So I believe like attention on the American Pale Ale.
What generation of American Pale Ale are you talking about here?
I'm saying Daisy Cutter.
Yeah, okay.
Like that kind of like clear to like maybe more modern of like the nectar style that you predicted last year. Like that kind of like juicier but not thick. Not
2010's Pale Ale. 2000, yeah.
right. And even or like what hasn't fully made its way back to Chicago yet, but the Neo West Coast Pale Ale, which is like has some bitterness and has hoppiness and has that juiciness to it. It's not just onion and garlic and citrus, but that getting more attention at least. I think there's
a golden era pale ale. Maybe that could be the style name. A golden era pale. I'm just going to add all these things to all these beers to make them sound more special. Bavarian dark lager,
You gotta
golden
add it to
era
BJCP
pale ale.
right now.
yeah,
Exactly.
which is different than a pale ale because
It's very different. I think pale ales can operate as like a brewery's sort of like light lager if they're a hop forward brewery. I think there's like a lot of opportunity there for breweries to make pale ale just like crush for them.
And I think a lot of breweries have been making pale ale somewhat like this for a long time. I think it's more just the attention
Right.
that is going to be paid.
Well, a
to
lot of
it.
breweries that are doing pale ales, if they haven't been doing them for decades, i.e., Sierra Nevada, they tend to not be like huge movers. They tend to never outsell the IPAs, and but I think there is opportunity for that to like change.
It's funny. I feel like even on the show, like we talk a lot about pale ale needing to come back and things, and wish there were more pale ales. And every time I hear that as a listener, or it's usually not when I'm on, but I'll look around Chicago at the 20 biggest breweries, and I'm like, year-round pale ale, year-round pale. Like, if
Right.
you go Rev, Fist City, Half Acre, Daisy Cutter, Pipeworks. If you count Lizard King as a pale ale, I know it's like borderline. Pale
It's like
ale.
6%.
But,
It's a pale ale.
and you go down, it's like, wow.
But
But to do a year-round pale ale is a commitment. It's
Yeah.
probably one of your top 4 or 5 priorities, if not higher, maybe top 3. But everybody has one here. And that's
Yeah.
not the case in a lot of these
Yeah.
newer markets that
Right.
popped up kind of 5 years later than Chicago, where there was a craft boom, more like 2015 instead of the 2010s to 2014, like the next 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Those, I bet you, is not necessarily the case.
I mean, I remember having conversations with people that owned breweries in New York and being like, when I was still working at Pipeworks, be like, Lizard King right now outsells Ninja versus Unicorn, which I don't think is the case anymore. But there was a couple years where it was by far the best selling SKU, and they're like, that's crazy. And I'm like, I think that's normal in Chicago more than it is anywhere else. Like Daisy Cutter is the best selling SKU. Like none of their IPAs outsell Daisy Cutter.
Not even close.
And you guys definitely Anti-Hero is your number one
But
SKU.
that's because we created Anti-Hero 5 years
Before,
before it. So it just had Anti-Hero got started when there was no craft beer.
Yeah.
So it just had this head start and created all this momentum that could not be matched. If it was reversed and Fist City came first, Fist City, just like how Daisy Cutter's immensely bigger than Bodum,
right.
Anti-Hero is immensely bigger than Fist City because it came out 5 years before.
Well, you had
2010
a pale though. There was a pale.
on draft, but it was never like
What was
a
what was it? Because you also had
double fist.
Double Fist, which is an imperial pale.
Iron Fist or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Before my time.
Yeah. Anywho, what your phone, your thing's
Thank
dying.
you.
Iron Fist is the one you're
Oh.
thinking of.
There you are. Wait. You didn't see that coming, huh? That you were going to
Now
run out.
this is podcasting.
Yeah, you didn't see that you were going to run out of battery
I
power. Huh?
thought I had enough down to 2%.
You didn't see that coming, huh? You didn't predict that.
Good point.
Where shall we go next?
Let's go BCS variant.
Super,
Okay,
yeah.
let's do it. I've got a pretty strong feeling for this one.
Me too.
Yeah.
Stronger than last year.
All right. Well, last year I think you said peanut butter.
I did say peanut butter. I was very wrong.
What's it going to be this year?
So, in the movie A Christmas Story, when they were trying to get Flick to put his tongue to the flagpole, a double dog dare wasn't going to do it. But you know what did do it? A triple dog dare.
Yeah.
So I think this is the year they're going to need to pull out the triple barrel
Triple barrel.
BCS.
Got
That's
it.
my prediction.
Okay. I think I like that.
Thank you.
I think they very well may do that. But I think even if they were to do it, there would be one that would be even more hyped than that. And that would be their
Quadruple barrels.
single barrel BCS.
Like something where they make 50
And can package it. They have to
50
figure out a way to
gallons.
package it.
50
Tap 'em
gallons
away.
of one.
Yeah.
And
And
it's like it's only that.
no. There's multiple single
Multiple
barrels.
like
just like with
200
whiskey.
or 300 single barrels, but blended
So
together.
instead of
No. Yeah, yes.
So they used to tell you they might maybe do regular BCS with 3 or 4 different spirits and have like a little code on the flag. So you're saying take that to the next level of not just the spirit, and the barrel number, so you could match up
Yes.
the bottles, which barrel they came from in a way.
And denoted as this is not BCS. This is single barrel BCS. This is a single barrel coming from one barrel, and then people will be able to see what wide
and then they make
variety.
a box out of the staves from that barrel.
Exactly.
And you're saying they'll not just do that someday. You think this coming year that's happening? You think they're ready for that?
So let me hold on. Let me just look.
That's a
Okay.
big one. It's-
Try again. I'm saying I think it's going to happen this year,
Okay.
and if it's not this year, certainly
In the
next
future.
year. Oh, I think it's happening soon.
How do you think that manifests? Like taproom only release sort of thing? Like can only drink there at the tap room, even not even to
I think
go.
I think it's going to be
Sold.
there can
packaged and sold.
There can only be like 30 cases that come out of a single barrel. You
Not
know?
even with loss, right? I mean, like,
Yeah, that's optimistic.
yeah, you got to think about how distributors work. The distributor's going to work with that. That would be a tap room only thing.
No, I think they're going to do many barrels of single
Okay,
barrel.
so you're going to work with a distributor and have a ton of different UPCs or SKUs around.
No, think of it as like Elijah Craig single barrel or something. I mean, that's a SKU, and then you see what barrel it is. Or Four Roses single barrel. There you go. That's at Mariano's. Four Roses single barrel. It'll be like that.
But they have many. But that's all under one weight, right? So interesting. So
It's
you're
just that
yeah.
the thing is that it's not blended.
Right.
It's just it doesn't really matter what barrel it came from,
I
what
don't-
the number of the
right,
barrel
right,
was.
gotcha.
It's
I
just
think-
that this wasn't blended with 1,000 other barrels. It was just
If they do this though, this is not going to be the year it goes into like wide distribution. This is going to be something that costs $100 a bottle. That
The logistics
that
around
you have
it
to
are-
win some sort of
are
raffle.
wild.
Maybe
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a huge logistical problem
Yeah.
for them to. I mean, right now they have giant tankers that it's like blended at the warehouse, and they just
Right.
send it over. How would they do it?
you can't package it. It's very hard to package that much
Right.
beer. Even when we just want to keg off a single barrel, it's a real pain, and it's kind of done almost by hand.
Yeah. But they have like a whole warehouse of people that their entire job for the entire year is tending to those barrels. So there's definitely a world where they can figure out how to do it if they're motivated to do it
Yeah.
and buy a Maheen for their weird little barrel of
Sure.
bottles.
I don't think people will pay that much of a premium for this. They might pay double
Yeah.
what BCS
Sure.
is, but I don't think they'll pay $100 for
Yeah.
that. Like I think they would pay 20 something.
I bet you get to such small numbers, right? You probably realistically have 45 cases of any singular barrel. And for the first year, you probably release only that one. You say, this is the best barrel of BCS this year. It's a single barrel. It's so good we didn't want to dilute it and blend it with anything else. But it's going to cost you $180.
Magic BCS.
Yeah. And that's how you start those things. And then maybe next year they're like, we did 200 single barrels of BCS.
That's exactly why I asked if he meant next year. That's a big project. It's
yeah.
possible. It'd be cool.
Yeah. So we'll see. That's my prediction for the biggest, hypest variant. How about you?
Doug, can we go back to Doug's real quick?
Sure.
Doug, what barrels are they putting in these 3 barrels?
It doesn't matter. It's
Doesn't matter.
triple.
Just triple the barrels.
There's 3
Triple.
of them.
There's 3 barrels. It's like a turducken, but with barrels.
And they've done this on draft, so this isn't coming out of left field. This has been like a one-off when they want to have a special tapping. So that's why I think like that could be one of the things on the list that they haven't done in bottles yet that gets the big draw for the year.
Nice.
Very cool. How about you, Jake?
I'm going to have a little bit boring response.
Open up that third eye. Don't be boring.
I'll be, well, if I want to be fun, I don't know. I mean, it's almost like you can't even. Everything's been done, right? So it's like I can't even make like a joke response that would be interesting. You can't satirize this stuff anymore. Not specifically with Goose, but just like the genre of barrel aged stout. It's just kind of you can't make fun of it anymore. It is what it is. I think though their path going forward is to harken back to the heyday of. This is way too distracting, Chris.
Go for it. What is it? I'm building the momentum.
Okay, so they're gonna
Just keep pushing
Yeah.
until he
Yeah.
says something.
they're just gonna harken back to their heyday and do like pull back really special variants from like the vault, right? So 2012 coffee or like basically specifically call out. I can't do this. I'm trying really hard.
Vault. Pulling from the vault.
Well, it's like Disney, right? Where they pull
Deeper
out,
into the vault.
deeper.
Going into the
Tom
vault.
Hanks in Bourbon County.
Okay. So vault
So you're
beer.
saying the vault picks.
Yeah, no, I think like just playing on nostalgia.
Vault
like,
bombs.
Trying to go back to the time when like trading was super high for Bourbon County, or just like in general that period of time. Call it like, I don't know, 2010 to 2014, right, when people were actually legitimately lining up for Bourbon County or doing store to store, kind of hopping around, picking that stuff up. I think bringing back variants from that era will be super. I mean, they've already kind of done that, right? They brought back Prop once. I think that's just kind of, and they brought back coffee this year. But I think that's like the move, right? Like just continue to do that, go back to the well, and just kind of touch on the nostalgia aspect.
I want the term vault bomb to come out.
Vault bombs.
Beer's a vault bomb.
What was the most sought after one this year?
Probably that 30th, right? Maybe.
I guess, or Prop. I think is still pretty.
Prop, yeah.
Yeah, I think the 30th. No,
Yeah.
the 30th was probably the one that people were going after.
And what was that? I don't even.
It was a blend of different types of barrels, essentially.
So they just told you it was special.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, they were older barrels.
They're like higher end, older barrels.
Yeah. Oh, and it was also it wasn't just that. It was the 4 bourbons that I guess would it have been Heaven Hill? No, it's not Heaven Hill. I forget who. Yeah, it was like when they released them all at the same time. Essentially, it was like Basil Hayden, Booker, Baker, and one more.
Candlestick Maker.
Yes. Yeah, so it was Booker, Baker, Candlestick Maker, and Basil Hayden.
Yeah.
It has something to do with those two as well. So, okay. How about you? And what do you think, Mike?
So I wrote one down, but I thought of another one since this. But the one I wrote down on the sheet was this year's prop will be an official branded collaboration with Portillo's chocolate cake.
Wow. Wow, that hit hard.
That hit pretty hard. That was a half joke, but I feel like that could be possible. But I think we also might start seeing non-bourbon barrel versions of Bourbon County, like the double barrel. Like this is finished in a rum barrel. This is finished in a cognac barrel.
Yeah.
This is finished in Armagnac. This is Calvados. I don't know if next year is when those will be the most sought after. I don't know if they'll ever be the most sought after.
I was at the warehouse yesterday, and I saw some stuff that had been in other types of barrels that weren't bourbon barrels. So it was like a double barrel, I think. But
but double barrel
Were
with
there-
like
Were there hundreds of them, or just like 4?
there was a lot. There was a lot.
So you have insider knowledge to make your prediction here, Chris? That's
Well, not about
that
the
was
single
that was
barrel.
my
Not
prediction.
the single barrel,
but I
thing.
didn't make that.
But just seems like the next logical step if they were going to try to do that.
Yeah.
And I think if anyone could pull it off on a big scale, they could and would be willing to like give it a go. So, all right. Do we have any other predictions to make, or are we? Is the portal to the future? It's closing.
I think
Is it closed?
That's lightning around it. These
we had,
last
we had
ones.
one.
All right.
This was supposed to be the lightning round last year, and Jake and I turned into the longest segment of the show.
Okay.
Lager sub-style. Examples: unfiltered, Italian, Polish, Czech dark lager. What's going to be this year's Nostradouglas?
Well, this is cheating a little bit. Nostradouglas and the Third Eye have been cooking up a little project,
Ooh, in the kitchen.
and
Yes, sir.
Hot and fresh out the kitchen.
Yes, sir.
Remixed to something.
we
Canceled.
We took last
sorry.
year's infamous episode and used it as a starting point for a
Writing
project, and we're
Lupo Cold IPA.
we have a
is what we're putting
collaboration.
in the document.
collaboration coming out in early April between Revolution and Hopewell, and it's going to be what is going to be the next lager sub-style
Ooh.
resurgence, which is the export lager.
Ah,
It is going to be called Logan Export.
Logan Export.
Ooh, nice.
It's going to be a 6% hoppy lager that
The Export.
Jake can tell you more about.
Well, last year your prediction was Dortmunder will become a meme lager, like a meme stock. So I think
Well,
you're
this
just
is a
trying to
slightly
manifest
different,
this into
export lager.
Dortmunder export
Dortmunder
lager.
Export,
neither
same
here
thing.
nor there.
We're there, Mike. Yes.
It's a Jake, same prediction from you?
I did have a different prediction,
No.
but I do predict that beer will be tasty and that we'll all be drinking it and having a good time when it comes
What is
out.
your prediction?
My Japanese super dry
dry.
rice lager. I think that's the next thing.
Oh, the super dries. Yes.
Nice.
So dry. Super.
My
That's
prediction was
super.
some sort of variant on Helles, like a dry hopped Helles or something with
Yeah, I see that getting. I
Milkshake
see
Helles?
that blowing up.
Milkshake
I
Helles.
see milkshake smoked Helles blowing up.
not smoked Helles necessarily, but just like similar to like the light lager being a thing that people are gonna want.
I think your crystal ball's got a crack in it.
Okay, what's yours then, sir?
Black pills, baby.
You got one on the shelves right now, do you,
Yeah,
Chris? Or-
one of the best.
oh yeah, who's that by?
Hopewell.
Nice.
They make one of the best. One of the best.
Next,
Really
That's right.
It's really building right now.
Black pills. Yes. 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 It's happening. I see it. I'm looking into my crystal ball. People are enjoying them. They're having more and more and more of them saying, I love this new lager sub style.
Yes.
Please.
The best lager sub style.
Yes.
What a lager sub style for 2023. The best.
The best. More. We need more. They're rioting. They need more black pills. Anyway, that's what I don't know. Your results may vary for your crystal ball, but that's what mine tells me.
Nice.
Yeah. Do we have any other lightning round things to do? We got
There's
through that lightning
just
round.
the potpourri. Any broader, more general predictions that we haven't gotten to that you'd like to put out in the world?
I've got a random one that I've never put out there before that I've been noticing. This is already happening, but it's odd because it's not a good fit for Chicago because we don't have Chicago isn't a huge, big program college sports town outside of Northwestern. But what I'm seeing is that all these big universities everywhere in the country, I don't know if something changed in the NCAA rules, but now all of a sudden they are partnering with a craft brewery in their region and creating like a year-round beer that's branded in combination with the brewery and the school, like the mishmashing of brands, and then it's this like alumni beer. So I called this like the alma mater beer. And like New Belgium has one in Colorado and one in North Carolina with NC State and I think Colorado
State,
Colorado
right?
State, yeah.
Yeah, Colorado
and
State.
There's a ton of these, and we like don't see any of this here because I don't think Northwestern has done one. I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
You could say like
But-
Michigan State or Michigan doing them, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Ohio
It seems
State.
like there's,
Right.
and I feel like there's
ooh,
so
fatheads.
Nebraska.
there's a good 50 of these at least, and
Yeah.
but there's a lot more than 50 big programs. So I think we're gonna see this, but
Yeah.
I just don't, we don't get much exposure to it here.
Right.
But by paying attention to like more national like press releases and stuff, I've been seeing a ton of these, and I thought that
I
was
was thinking
fascinating
about-
because these like didn't exist at all. Because I think you couldn't do this, or they steered away from beer in a university, like they just like didn't do
Yeah.
it. Now they're like all in on it.
that gambling too. They're all about
Yeah,
pushing
everything
gambling.
changed,
They've
right.
just everything. It's all just get the students for all you can. Get them drinking beer, gambling,
It's
whatever
first
you
it was
can.
credit cards, now it's gambling apps.
Like Upland has been putting out a poll for which style they can do, and the fans can vote because they're doing one with IU Bloomington. So,
Sour
like,
kiwi ale.
Yeah, paw
Yeah.
sour ale.
That's a random one.
I was
like
very
that.
close to predicting, more sports teams beers, but that's kind of already
Doug
happening.
talked about that last year, actually, when it came up. It wasn't one of your predictions, but it came up when you were talking about like collaborations with non-breweries.
Yes,
The fire was, and then you thought that was going to be a thing that was happening. And
I know the
I guess-
Blackhawks did a beer with Goose. Yeah,
Bulls too.
yeah. So,
You got something, Jake?
For
oh my gosh,
For my prediction.
oh no,
Yes, I have a prediction. It's coming clear.
what is
Coming
it?
clear. One of the top 50 BA breweries will close. The timer didn't work out with the background music, Chris. You got to work on that. Can you fix it in post?
Yes,
Yeah, top 50 BA brewery will close 2023.
Which one?
Which one?
Oh, yeah. No, You got to subscribe to my
New
Patreon.
Yingling.
New Glarus.
Neither of those.
Yeah, that's on the Patreon episode.
Yeah, yeah.
Hot Take tells you which one's going to close.
My only a reason why I'm skeptical of that, I'd be fascinated if it did happen, but I just feel like if you're a top 50 craft brewery, on your way to needing to close, you become a not top 50 craft brewery.
Sure.
Like you scratch and claw and decline and get out, because even if you're just outside of it, you're still big brewery selling a lot of beer. So don't you get smaller first and then have to close? Like
It's
it's
not
hard
called
to,
cold takes.
Yeah, these
Jake.
aren't cold takes. Okay. I don't have any
Like,
basis for this
well-matured.
prediction,
Like,
besides the music backing
it's
it
more-
up.
Well
The
aged,
vibe was strong.
well aged takes.
it's more of a question. Like, could a brewery that big just say, "Yeah, we're done"?
Right.
It
Not
seems
be able
like
to sell to someone
Yeah,
else.
if you're
or
that big,
just
someone would
close.
buy you, or you would like slowly fail and
What-
then have to close.
Right.
What would the situation have to be? Some sort of insane debt structure? Like what?
I don't.
Yeah. You don't see one.
Not for the top 50.
I like to
It's
think
possible.
of Jake as like Ryu from Street Fighter, just like
Obichris.
just yeah, and they're just
Super Saiyan.
yeah, just huge balls
And you
of
didn't have
hot
to deal
take.
with whatever I said
Yeah.
on your own.
and and you just fall back.
He's just pure.
Yeah,
It's the purest steaks.
yeah, yeah, just like hot balls of take.
Big old hot balls of takes.
Yeah.
So we're not going to do serving gimmicks.
Let's do it.
Oh yeah, serving gimmicks.
So I've got a serving.
I gotta.
No, I don't have a serving gimmick. Do I? No, I don't. I don't have a serving gimmick for this year. Although I would like to see
Oh, I
the
got a good
Lucre hand pour. So it takes two hands, both actuating them, one horizontally and one vertically, to get the perfect.
So multi-dimensional lucre hand pulls.
Yeah, so it's a combination of the Czech
Two
style and
axes.
the English style.
Yeah. It's lucre hand pumps.
Yeah, Lucre hand pumps.
Okay.
You have to do them both just perfect.
That's like the old school Guinness pour method.
Yeah, I would love to see that come back.
I like mine. You're going to see the return of the frosted mug in tap rooms for the Crispy Boys.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Chilled or frozen?
Like frozen, like
like
frosted.
the iced.
Yeah.
So divisive. I'm
Yeah.
not opposed to it.
I think it'd be fun. I also think it's going to be like I would get that. Feels like another 50
You
cents.
of all people, man.
Another 50 cents to get the Crispy Boy in the frosted mug.
That's you've
With the
matured-
handle,
you've
right?
matured. You've
With
come
a
a
little
long
thumb
way,
grip.
Mike. I feel like
Yeah, of course. Thumb grip. And then hopefully some tavern style pizza I can chug.
What about like a dimple mug? They'd have to do a little bit of a change to
No,
it.
no.
Like an English dimple
You want
mug.
the frosted like shaker pint?
No, a mug.
Okay,
Like
right,
a frosted
right, gotcha.
mug that looks like you're about to get 20 ounces of beer and you get 12.
8.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
no head on that beer at all. Just completely
cold.
Ice chunks floating on
So
the top.
cold you can't taste
I actually
it.
just had this conversation with a friend. He asked me. He said this is no joke. He said, "Hey, you're a beer guy. What's your take on frosted mugs, or just frosted glasses in general?" And I generally think there is a time and a place for it. Obviously, like the
Buffalo Wild
lightest,
Wings.
yeah, the lightest, least tasting beer. There's something that doesn't taste good when it's actually at like serving temp. You want it so dang
Yeah, like,
cold.
Like most brewery tap rooms, Crispy Boys.
Sure.
quote
Okay.
unquote.
Oh, hot. There's a hot take.
Whoa.
I just don't want chemicals from the freezer. It being what's
Well, those
making
glasses
up the
tend to be
frosting.
very-
Chemicals from the freezer? No, these are kept in a freezer specifically for the Crispy Boy.
They tend to be
mugs.
very dirty to doing that because
What
the
chemicals
condensation
would
that
be in the-
well, the condensation that freezes, like they've gone into that. Like that can be very unsanitary to serve beer in glasses that.
That's
have been
why I asked
frozen.
about chilled versus frozen, because the frozen ones tend to, if you look at what's in that residue, it's not the greatest thing to consume.
Don't care.
But we're not here for that.
I love
Don't
the
care.
frozen. I love the frozen aspect.
We're here for
of it.
vibes.
I like
What?
Yeah,
So you
we're
guys
here
have
for
looked
vibes.
into this?
I,
We're here to vibe out.
What's going on in the frozen
I've got,
residue?
like, I mean, I don't know the science of this, but whatever's in the freezer, the mist you're seeing is coming from some kind of chemicals that get into the glass, and that residue that's in the frost there's some things in there that you'd ideally not consume. So that's why they like the
There's got to be a way
connoisseurs
to
of this, they're like chilled glass is great. Keep them in the like fridge, but don't do the freezer. I'm not a nerd about this stuff.
I've got
but
it.
read.
Well,
I've got another
I'm
idea,
sticking
too.
to frozen.
I got it. I'm going to one up you. I think what you're going to see is like in movies how like witches have grog where it's like actively bubbling and thick
You're saying
white
dried
smoke.
ice and
it looks as
That's
if
how they're
it's
gonna
just-
do it.
Yeah. So that they're going to find a way to do that, and it's going to be this
Dry
bubbling
ice.
dry ice that you then consume the dry ice
no,
with
you
your
can't,
beer.
You can't consume the dry ice because that will drown you. So
No,
you,
no,
yeah.
no. You obviously haven't seen the future.
Oh, okay, you're right. Yeah, my bad.
No, something like that, where it's a bubbling crock of grog.
Crock of grog.
A crock of grog crocs. They're going to be huge
Grog,
in
is that a
23.
collaboration with Croc?
Yeah.
Probably
Crocs,
the
shoes?
cross segment collaboration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, yours
Crocs.
was Crocs last year. Was your cross segment collaboration?
Well,
So-
speaking of a crock of grog, my prediction for a new serving method is, I think we're finally ready for the Milko pour to
Okay.
hit Chicago.
That was Chris's last year.
It was.
Yes.
It was one of them. He said, well, a few of them.
Yes.
Now
Now,
you're ready. I'm with you.
Okay.
I wasn't last year.
The milk
Now
pour,
I am.
huh?
Milk pour. Let's do it. We've done the slow pour. We've done the Lucre pour. Let's hit them where it counts.
Some milk pours.
you can find it at some of the more prominent beer bars in New York, fairly regularly, which is kind of cool to see. And Lucres are very common out there. I think they adopted it for whatever reason. In more
You get
in
asked
terms of-
quite
and
often
outside of
when we're going to get one.
outside of really interesting. Yeah, I mean, not just talking breweries either, like like beer bars, like places that you would never expect to have a Lucre faucet have a Lucre faucet, and like places that like their adjacent or equivalent space in Chicago wouldn't have it, which is kind of interesting.
Why?
I don't know.
What's the
They
deal
must
with
have.
this Lucre?
I think there's a sales rep in New York.
Right.
That's literally what I think it is. I think someone's out in New York selling these, and they're great. I think they pour good beer.
Yeah, they pour good beer.
I wanted to throw out my prediction for serving or
Yes, please.
We're coming back to fresh cut fruit in the beer, slice of lime in the hef, or obviously we get that with lime and Modelo's or what have you, but talking slice of orange and a whisper of orange and a nice
You mean an actual piece of fruit in the beer?
an actual like
Blue Moon style.
like Blue Moon style, yeah.
Shock top.
Shock top, yes.
We're returning to shock top.
We're returning to those days,
Okay.
baby. That's
All
what I'm
right.
saying.
I want to just add on an example. We, at Rev, in our tap room, we decided last summer when our Mexican lager came out, we were like, let's add an option where you can have the rim of the glass lined with hot sauce and tahini powder if you want. It did great. Loved it. And I was very skeptical. I had never had a beer like that. I ordered one, and then that's like what I ordered for my next 20 beers throughout the summer was that.
People love
And,
modifiers.
yeah, it's fun.
Fresh fruit.
Yeah.
Well, I think Doug makes a good point. Just like that in general, like actual food ingredients added to a beer. They could be in subtle ways of like a salted rim glass.
Maybe like for all these crispy boys that are going to be so popular now, or in
I'm talking.
in Mike's future, all these smoked helluses that are going to be
Not
destroying.
smoked.
They're all smoked, Mike, in the future.
Hoppy, dry hopped hellus, also smoked as well. That
Okay, they're all smoked.
they're all going to be smoked. Totally forgot where I was going with it now. There's going to be modifiers. What if they start making them into like chiladas or micheladas?
I think that's great. I
sounds
think
delicious.
that's amazing.
Smoked michelada.
And there's like different variations of
Sign me up.
micheladas too across Mexico. So you get like ones that are lime and like Worcestershire.
Like
ones-
Oaxacan michelada.
Yeah, yeah.
All you have to do is add that modifier of a place, and it blows up.
Yes, 100%. I love that. I make those at home. the Oaxacan ones. So good.
Yeah.
So good.
There you go. You heard it here first. Now you know what the future holds, everybody. Does the future hold anything else? Have we missed anything else that we're willing to share? Obviously, we know a lot more that's going to happen. There's going to be a huge buyout tomorrow, but we're not going to say who.
Yeah, you'll never know.
Well, you will tomorrow.
Tomorrow you'll know.
AKA a
Before
week.
the show comes out.
A week. Yeah. A week before the show comes out. But is the portal closing? It's getting smaller.
I see the aperture decreasing.
The music seems to sound like it's ending.
We're in the very, very end of the
throes.
credits where the production companies start to come up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Thanks to
Catering.
the Toronto
The
Film
theaters.
Board.
If you're still listening
Yes.
by now, I'm sorry.
Whoa. What a hot take.
It's one of our better episodes. So
We're at the very
The
end.
best piece of
But there is a post-credit
content I've ever
sequence.
been a part of.
There's a post-credit sequence where we're going to give the hottest takes. Molten lava level
Oh,
takes.
just getting thrown your
but
way.
you do got to subscribe. You do have to pay me personally.
Yeah.
Doug, one last take for the people before we end this,
Give us a take.
Last take.
or any bit of anything for
Nostradouglas looking
2023.
into the future.
One last take. We're going to see a lot of brands out there refreshing their packaging, making sure that they have tight, seamless communication, that all their brands that are, like Jake said, they're getting rationalized down. They're down to like their 4 big winners. They want to make sure those 4 look perfect next to each other and communicate as one instead of being kind of 4 totally different things all over the place. We're going to see a lot of brands kind of honing in on their packaging. Lots of brand refreshes. That's my final take.
Love it.
Wow. I love it.
Profound.
Music really is seems to be going that
Should we
way.
do this
So
for every episode?
thank you all so much. Thanks to Strange Mike MD. Thanks to the Three-Eyed Take.
Should be the
You
third
made
eye.
this nickname.
Third eye
The
take.
Three-Eyed Take Jake. I am Obichris Quinnobi, and of course we have Nostradouglas. Well, thank you very much. Our background music just ran out, so I think that's
Good sign.
the sign. Yeah, unless we're going to go back to the woods. So the portal is closed. We will see you next year when we will come back for our triumphant return, where we all go 100% with our predictions,
Nailed
even
it.
the ones that contradicted each other's.
They both worked.
They both worked somehow. I like this multiverse idea. So,
And you're wrong.
how are you doing right now, Mike?
Now that the portal's closed, I'm good.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you can see the present now.
Yeah, now that the portal's closed and the music stopped, like, yeah, I'm only in the present. I exist in the present.
Yeah.
Real Buddhist kind of thing.
Well, I can see the pupils of your eyes again.
Yeah,
They had
that's good.
completely rolled back.
Yeah, you could only see the
So
lights
far, I
on
could
before.
see your optic nerve. They were completely
Maybe
inversed.
that's what I was thinking. Like, I just couldn't see.
You just couldn't see anything.
Yeah, I was blind for the last 2 hours and
Severe
15
pain.
minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm back.
Welcome back.
Phew, what do you guys talk about?
Nothing.
All right.
Anyway, see you guys.
Bye.
Bye. Wait, what have I done?
This is what we said.
Everything's fine.
Again, 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 again. Remember, this is what we wanted. Remember, this is what we said. To never be heard, seen from again, 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 again. Remember, this is what we wanted. Remember, this is what we said. To never be heard, seen from again, 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 again.